Our viewing adventures for, well, this is our sixth year, but this is a new one because we're on location. I'm at 1890 Bryant. Maybe some of you out there know this great. This might be the building with the most artists in it in San Francisco. Is that right, Matthew?
I think so. We have about 100.
100 artists.
Yeah.
So this is Matthew Frederick. What I did, I came to Open Studios in October, walked around and just looked at in each various studios to figure out which ones grabbed me. I loved Matthew's paintings, and we started talking. We had a great talk. So we're gonna have a conversation about his art. But before we do that, there was a 9 minute video documentary made about Matthew, and I'm going to play that for you guys because it's a really great kind of overview of his art. So you'll see some of his art, but then we're going to jump in and we're definitely going to want to hear your questions. So let's go ahead and get that started.
I'm Matthew Frederick. I'm a painter based in San Francisco, and my studio is in the Mission. I think I became an artist because I wanted paintings for my house. One of my oldest memories, early on, is of that we had a painting in our house, and I know it came from the furniture store. And I remember as a kid just staring and staring at it, and I'm not sure if I thought, oh, maybe I could do something like that. I just remember being enamored with it from being a little boy. And I don't know how long we had it or how much I was that we still had it. My parents don't even remember it. So I think that was the start of wondering what a painting was or something like that. Well, I went to art school in the early 80s. I actually was a computer science major even earlier than that, and because I was a really good math student, so I was funneled right into being a computer science major. But I took some art classes on the side, and I decided that computer science was not for me. And I moved to Sacramento and went to Sac State and became an art major. While I was going to school, I worked for a landscape contractor. And so I had my choice of getting my master's degree in art, or I could become a contractor. So I went for becoming a contractor because, I went for the money. For 17 years, I was a design build contractor, and what I did was theme gardens. I commuted from the Gold Country to Sacramento there and back every day for 15 years. I think that's where I saw all the rolling hills and the beauty of all of that. And there's some of the first paintings were landscapes. It kind of was what I saw, So, I did that for 17 years. It wore me out. And I then needed a new job. And I had done some paintings. Nobody had really ever seen them. A friend of mine who was a huge designer saw the paintings one day and said, okay, I want these paintings for my shop. And so I started to make more pieces for him. And he was placing them in Hawaii and in all these projects. And so, I was making money and realizing that I hated being a contractor because it was wore me out and I needed a new job. I built a studio in our barn to make all that happen. And then at some point I realized that if I wanted to be an artist, I had to move to San Francisco. I'm not a great illustrator. So I think when you're younger and, high school, junior school, an artist is someone who can draw, who can illustrate. So I was the kid who got a C in art because I couldn't draw things, right? And at that time, nothing else was taken into consideration, not design palette or anything like that. So my sad memory is that when I was in seventh or eighth grade, all the kids who were good artists in the art class got to go out and paint a fire hydrant in pairs, and I didn't get to. It gets the point across that being an illustrator or being able to draw is everything that is considered to be an artist when you're younger. And it wasn't until later that I kind of realized, like, I could do it with colors. For my paintings, the color is what they're all about. It may be a heron or a hollyhock or the Golden Gate Bridge, but the colors are what make the painting. That's what my art is. It's the mixing of the colors. I sometimes kid that I have 10 jobs. I do everything. I make the molding that makes my canvas stretchers. It's like a two-part molding. I cut it into, the sizes I need to make whatever canvases I want coming up. I stretch the canvases myself. I gesso the canvases, and then I do the painting, and then I frame the paintings. And then they go out the door. As I bring the materials in the door, I just think, wow, these are going to go out as beautiful paintings. I know that I got my eye for color, shape, creation from my father. And they taught me how to build everything, or that I could build anything. We made chopping blocks in the garage for Christmas presents. And his father also built everything. And so what I do is I paint paintings, but what I really do is I make paintings. I make them. And it sounds pedestrian, but I make paintings. You tend to quit looking at things. Okay, so you can drive across the Golden Gate Bridge, every day and not see any of it, right? And that goes with flowers, and it goes with the animals. When somebody says to me, oh, I was up in the wine country and I saw that vineyard scene, I feel like I've succeeded in prompting them to look again, to stop and smell the roses, to take a minute and look at what's beautiful around you instead of just driving right by. And I'm also do it all the time. It's prompting people to observe what's around them again, even if it's mundane. Because a lot of the things I paint are maybe a little mundane, the animals, etc. But I paint them anyway because I think, what? Let me show a different version of a floral painting. Let me try a new angle on this subject matter and see if I can make it fun again or interesting.
Matthew, that is I think, a great overview of your work. I'm going to go and pull up our slides. Um, Here's the doggy diner, but we'll go to So this is the art of Matthew Frederick. And Matthew, we'll just I'll put up the Doggy Diner painting, but we're going to go through a bunch of your different works. When you and I met, one of the first things I asked you about was Wayne Thiebaud. I said, "Are you a fan of Wayne Thiebaud?" And you said, "I think yes." And I said, "Your work reminds me of him." So, are there? What do you think you get from him or his practice? That how do you see things in ways that maybe were similar to the way he did?
I think in brushstroke, you look at those paintings that he does of again, kind of mundane things, just like I do, or I do like he does, I should say. And the brushstroke, it's all about the brushstroke and his colors. His colors are gorgeous. Um,
You know,
I think maybe I've borrowed the halo around my subjects from him. Whether I did it on purpose or subconsciously, he also does a halo on a lot of his images.
yeah, and I think like that halo is always a really interesting color with him as it is with you. And then I just really am intrigued by, I'm going to go to another painting. We've got these lines in your painting and in different colors. And I know you work from photographs. Another artist at 1890 Bryant is Sarah Newman, who does like kind of photorealism, but you're doing something very different. She's going to be having shades that kind of gradually blend into each other as they would in a photograph. But yours, we see almost like pointillistic lines against each other. And I'm always intrigued, like, how do you decide, like, what is the right color to go next to the next color?
Well, I think people come to my studio and I think they're kind of embarrassed to say, "Oh, it looks like kind of like a paint by number." And the first thing I always say is exactly. That's exactly what it looks like because I've taken the image exactly from a photograph and then I broke it down as if you were going to paint a paint by number, but it's basically a paint by number for map. You know, it makes a map for me to put the colors in. Like, and that's all I need is I need a container or a contained
Got some chicken
area.
for you, dear.
Oh, somebody needs to mute.
What'd you say?
It doesn't work with my lunch.
Okay, hold on. Can we mute that person who is interrupting us? Find out who that is. All right, good. Yeah, so I mean that to me, yeah, in that way, it's like paint by numbers, but it's the color choices to me that makes it so interesting. They all like this salmon color next to this maybe more beige or brown
Yeah.
color. And I kind of was thinking about how in music, if you choose notes that are the kind of right distance from each other, you can make beautiful chords. If you choose the wrong notes, they're kind of discordant. Is it similar with colors?
Well, I've never really thought about it, but that seems absolutely true because all it takes is for say one or two colors to be off in that spectrum, and then something's not right visually. But I think I said in my video that I I think that my art is the mixing of the colors, not so much the painting. The act of the painting. I don't even know how to put that, but it's like I kind of got a gift of mixing colors. Is that just to be basic about it, and that's what I do.
I really agree with you. Like, so here is your painting of the Golden Gate Bridge. This is something in the Bay Area, we see this frequently, and we love our Golden Gate Bridge. And yet this kind of reimagines it, to think, oh, yes, it is this color. We see it as one color, but this kind of breaks it down. Is that an easy process for you to, go from that image to this one?
Um, I mean, not really. It takes a long time to divide that up, and uh, because now next time you guys drive across the Golden Gate Bridge or look at it in a picture, it's mangy. I mean, it's the paint is they're continuously painting it because the paint is continuously corroding, and sometimes it'll just be really mangy and corroded, and sometimes sections will look better, but I'm trying to capture that general look of the how it's corroding.
And it's a very original way of looking at it. I mean, there are many, many paintings of the Golden Gate Bridge. If you go to Open Studios, you'll see others, but this one it's unique. Also, like this angle, this cropping. Now, you worked from a photograph. Was it your photograph or was it someone
I
else's?
took the photograph,
Yeah. And
but I don't always.
were you, I'm just curious, were you on a bicycle or you in a car?
I think I was just standing, to this on one of the sides. It's
Yeah.
been a long time ago, and I can't quite remember. But it's one of the paintings that I actually did take the photograph. Only a fraction of them I have taken the photograph because I'm not a very good photographer.
I'm going to go look in chat to see if I do want to encourage folks, if you have questions for Matt, I'd like to ask them, throw them in the chat, or you can also unmute and speak up. But I see Gail says, I find your art very mathematically expressed through color. Maybe it's your math strengths shining through in the form of art. Do you think there's a connection? Like,
I really like that. I would have never thought of that in a million years, but I really like that. That just might be possible. I might in my old age, my mathematical brain has faded, but it used to be like a right on like a calculator, but not so much anymore. But I like that.
it's
Thank
good.
you.
Math skills also often, people who are strong in math often can be very good musicians. And so maybe there's this, there's a musical quality to your images. I'm going to look through chat, see if we have other questions. Yeah, it looks like a car view, Nikki says, of that Golden Gate Park. The blue outline on the hot dog is so Tebow, says Gail.
Yeah.
Let's go back to that.
And the outline was kind of it was I couldn't get the background. See, I paint the image on a black background, and then that striped background could not come exactly to the image. It just wouldn't work. So I needed a little bit of a buffer around the edge, and somewhere along the way, I mean, it took me 15 years to figure out this to get it right like it is today, but I needed the background to come up to something, and so the border gave me that buffer. Otherwise, it would have just not looked right or, gone all the way onto the image.
So it seems like Tebow had the same approach, and Tebow would love that you take things from him, since that we had that great exhibition last year where it was all about the things he had taken from other artists.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
art. What was it called? I forget the name, but it was all about. He basically he's happy to say he steals his ideas, and then he would show you the specific artworks that he took it from. Tell me about this. What an interesting way to think of our wonderful Victorian architecture here in San Francisco. Uh, so what? Yeah, and again, you've made this cropping choice, right? So, what was it that made you like that? Like making this a triangle?
Well, these are all part of a series that was called Icons. And it was, there were several people in the show, and the overall show was called Metropolitan, but mine section was Icons. And, just like the Golden Gate Bridge, of course, I don't have a painting of the whole Golden Gate Bridge, or you can see the animals, it's just, part of them, or the same with florals. I really like the idea of just catching something that's really cool and extreme. And it gets the point across, it's obviously it's a Victorian lady building, right? But and I say Painted Lady 5 because that gets it right across. But everybody know the minute they see the title, they're like, oh yeah, that's one of those. But it's just that's all it needed.
Yeah.
That's all it needed was that much.
Well, I think that we have another one in there, so different, but also the triangle.
And fortunately, what I really liked was the idea of it being straight on, catching that at a straight on angle. And that's really, really difficult unless you know the person that lives across the street, right? Otherwise, it's impossible. So, and unfortunately, with the Painted Ladies, there's this hillside across the street, and I was able to zoom in on each of that piece
Wow. So these are
straight
these
across.
I didn't realize. I thought it was a painted lady. It is not a painted lady. It is one of the
Yeah.
painted ladies.
Oh yeah, these are I did three or four of them. No, I'm not quite remembering now. I think three of them.
Anybody else out there pick up on that? That these are the ones on Alamo Square? That's fun.
Yes, yes.
Good for you, Ian.
Yeah.
It's funny because that's such a tourist spot, and but to me, it's one of those things that the tourists love it, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't love it too.
Yeah. The same as
Exactly.
the bridge also, and a lot of these
And the
things.
cable cars.
I just kind of like, I don't know. I just like think I said before was just it gives people a chance to maybe next time they drive by. See, us San Franciscans, we just drive right by. But maybe you're like, oh, there's that corner right there that he did. And I hope I then made you look again, as I said before.
Well, we're all in this group. We're all like big art fans, right? And I think the art does change us in these ways. So I'm a big fan of Robert Bechtel, and he does
Oh
all
yeah.
these paintings of houses, right? Well, there just happens to be one of the Bechtel houses near me where I drive by it.
Yes.
Whenever I drive by it, I always look over at it. So it helps us really appreciate our wonderful environment here. So this is still the iconic.
That Steel Icon series.
And I just thought this was so another
Mm,
interesting cropping, right?
Well, I wanted to. A lot of times, I like to paint things that are kind of tacky. So it's kind of tacky to paint the Golden Gate Bridge, and it's really tacky to paint the Statue of David. Really, really tacky. And I for this icon show, but that's what I've always painted is things that are, kind of tacky. And so I kind of wanted to do David. I wasn't sure if it was going to be just too tacky. I tried another version of him that was horrible and I threw away. And then I brought it down to just this really cropped version and didn't worry so much about the body or anything else. And I like it. I think it worked.
Well, it kind of helps me
wow.
appreciate it as an object, that like it was worked on at this detailed level. We see it like macro, but this helps us
Yeah.
appreciate it micro.
Yeah. And that's the first time I ever tried. This is not a portrait. It's a portrait of a statue. So I didn't know if I could do it. Also, it had to look exactly like David, not kind of like David. If it was off at all, it would be really bad. You'd be like, oh, that's really bad. I mean, even so again, like it was kind of tacky and kind of pushing it to paint a bit of a portrait of David. And I hope it worked. I feel really good about it. It was all about that eye staring at you.
Well, and it's risky to take something like this very well-known subject
Yeah.
and to do it, but and then to say, I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah. And it had to look like David. Everyone had to be able to go, oh, that's David. And it's the David they remember, not kind of but I paint from exactly from a photograph. The map I make for my colors is exactly off a photograph. So the what do you call it? The scale and the dimensions and everything is always going to be absolutely correct because I'm not trying to illustrate that myself from a photo. I just use the photo and make a map on top of it.
Do you project the photo onto maybe your canvas?
No, no, I usually will print it out fairly big, and then that way I can just work on it till I get all these little areas, and you can also see the decay on David. So you've got, he's all pitted, and I didn't try to make him pretty. I just wanted to be exactly what he is. But I do a bit of a map on top of a photograph, and then I'm able to transfer that with
Yeah.
all of us older people remember the kind of thing you put in a typewriter, that blue typewriter paper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Carbon
I
copy.
was trying to explain to some youngins recently that, oh yeah, we didn't always have copy machines. You had to stick that blue sheet in there, and there was no messing up. Like you only had one try, and that's how you got a copy. That's when I went to college anyway. I'm dating myself badly.
I think in our group you are not actually so much.
But
Let
yeah.
me see what else is out in chat, and if anyone wants to speak up and voice a question. Also, Sarah noted that the Tebow show was called "Art Comes from Art."
Huh.
Um, yeah, Anne asked, "Well, this is from a photo, so you crop it for the composition." It sounds like you do.
Yeah, exactly. Just to be more, I didn't need to just do a full-on picture of him, or a full-on. I just wanted it to be interesting.
Kat, so we were talking about the process. Did we get into enough detail? Do you want to follow up on that?
What we were just talking about.
Yeah, she
Just,
wants to know about your color. She loves the colors in Painted Lady 3. Could you talk about the process?
yeah, similar process where I've taken the photograph, I've broken it down into, kind of like my own personal paint by number, and then the first time I do the painting, it'll be fairly smaller, which small for me is like 30 by 30, 40 by 40. And then as I paint the painting, I pick the colors that I want to use. And sometimes that first one is pretty good or good, but there'll be some colors I'm not quite sure about. I only have one chance. I paint it and that's that. So then like the next versions I will decide to, that color isn't quite right. I'm going to make it like this color. And eventually the paintings become very large. So this David is 50 by 50, but I think I did one that was 60 by 60 also.
Do you do a study before you do the full scale painting?
Yeah, that's the first paint. The first painting is kind of the study to pick all the colors, to get it right, even though the first one might not be completely right. It usually turns out and it's pretty cool. But by the time I get to a big painting, it needs to be right. Where I wouldn't just start with a great big painting and then, yeah.
So this is like the inside baseball stuff. We like that. So Marcia asked the question. I think we might have just answered it. What do you mean by making a map of the photo? Is it a special processing that highlights the shades and such?
Yeah. The map is the drawing I do that makes it into I'm just going to say into a paint by number, and it's usually black and white. And so I'm able to then take that map and transfer it onto, I always work on a black canvas. And then I can blow it up and down to different sizes.
Can you guys see that back there? It's kind of the cool
Wow.
thing being in the studio.
Oh, here, I don't know if this works, but I can show you one of these maps because
Oh yeah, okay. Here we go. This is what we get for being on location.
I hope this isn't the story.
Oh wow.
So there's a black and white map.
Can you guys see that?
I think it goes like that.
Can you bring it in a little closer so we can get the detail?
I mean, and these are all my little secrets.
Wow. Yeah.
See
Cool.
all the numbers too, because even I am completely confused. So often I will do all the numbers. Now, this is not the first try at this painting. It's more like the second or so or third
And
where
And is this one right here, right? Is it that one right there? The flowers?
no, this is David.
Oh, it's David.
This is the profile
Oh, yeah, that's
of
the eye.
David.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the other one straight on,
Oh,
and
it
this is the profile.
It is confusing. Like you don't really,
Yeah.
you don't.
Yeah.
It's so close up.
And I mean, I number them and I make all my colors and I number those. And because I'm confused completely otherwise, especially mostly because these are black and white or sepia and white. So this has about 11, 12, 14 shades of gray.
Is this your process that you came up with yourself?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It took me, this is 20 years it took me to figure this whole thing out so that I have it down smoothly. People ask me, "Oh, how long did it take you to do that painting?" And sometimes I say, "Oh, like 20 years."
20 years.
I think it doesn't take a huge amount of time to do a painting sometimes, but sometimes I think people judge how long it took you as to how good they should think the painting is. But I mean, I kind of have it down now, but it took me 20 years to to figure out all the tiny little idiosyncrasies to make it right.
Yeah, and you can see that. I mean, if you go on Matthew's website, which we'll share at the end, you can see your earlier paintings. You can see how it's really like progressed
Yeah.
to where it is now. Here's a personal question from Sherry. You don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but she asked, "Did you design your tattoos?" I
Oh,
can't see I can't see them closely enough to know, but she
oh,
thinks maybe you did.
no, I didn't. That's somebody else's art, so I didn't need to interfere.
Yeah.
I had some ideas of the images I wanted, but not the design at all. Just more like, oh, I want these flowers, but it's somebody else's art.
And then Gail asks, so you start by painting the entire canvas black?
Well, it's prime. It's called gesso, and canvases are primed, especially in oil painting, because oil would eat the canvas up. So they have about 5 coats of primer on them before I put the image on there, the transfer the image. And that's the last coats are in black. I like black. It just makes things really rich. Yeah.
But then, like the one that's behind us, you wouldn't know that there's, I guess if you look closely, you'll realize it's black underneath it.
Oh, I mean, not really. It's just, I just think it gives a more rich color from behind. It's also more forgiving, um, in a way, in terms of like little holes and stuff in it.
Let's move on. Let's see some more of your images. Guess I'll get the chat box down. So these flowers, these things really grab me. So how do you like choose as your subjects? What, you got a bunch of different categories.
Originally, my original work, and it started in about 1999 or the year 2000, was landscape. And again, I think that's what I said about commuting from the Gold Country to Sacramento is I just drove through these yellow rolling hills and shadows, and I just loved it. And you also you see similar paintings done by like Greg Condos and Thibault in some of those that I lived in an area where they actually did some of their paintings. And I love the shadows, and that's so my first paintings were all landscapes. And I'm sorry, I forgot what the question was.
Yeah, just like how do you choose your subjects? So you said that grabbed you.
Yeah, originally I was all about that landscape, and then I painted only landscapes till about 2012, and then I think that's when we were coming out of that big financial recession, and um, I don't know. I just decided to make a change, a little bit of a change. I was tired of landscapes, so I added on these paintings like you see here. I call my contemporary paintings. So there's landscapes, and I still paint them today. And there's contemporary paintings that started around 2012. And so the contemporary paintings encompass everything you can think of. If I can get a picture or a photo of it, I could do the painting of it. So, I've got toy cars and flowers and horses or well, no horses, but lots of different animals and birds and,
Yeah,
the painted ladies and the Golden Gate Bridge. And
so you have these different subjects. Sarah says I like that the distance you view the painting from changes what you see. So you can look at them really close up and then you can back up and get a different like experience.
no, thanks. Yeah, thank you. That's what I hope people kind of see is just up close. You see just, the fragments of all the colors, and then back, it's kind of more of a full on, almost a more realistic look.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you appreciate how we see things differently. Like that these flowers are made up of these different colors.
Yeah. And I love flowers. I was a design build landscape contractor for many, many years, 17 years. And I did a lot of theme gardens, like English gardens with flowers. So I love flowers. And also that's my tattoos are almost all flowers also, because I didn't want to have scary tattoos.
I mean, I think for me as a viewer, the hard thing about you is like if I were to get one of your paintings, which one would I get? Would I get flowers? Would I get these iconic ones? Or we're gonna get to the birds. The birds are pretty amazing. I'll say this though, the one thing that your contemporary things have in common is they're almost always square. So what is it about square paintings that draws you to that form?
Um, I guess I just like square paintings, and I do an awful lot of them. But there's verticals in the florals. There's verticals. Animals generally lend themselves to squares, but I have fish. There's a whole series of fish, and most of those are or well,
Or
half of
lands.
those are horizontal.
I mean, the other painter that I love who works in square format is Agnes Martin.
Yeah,
I think you said your husband likes Agnes Martin.
yeah, and so do I.
But her square paintings are quite different from
Yeah,
yours.
yeah, a little bit.
So yeah, so here's one of these fish. So let's look at that. And so again, it's making you really reimagine like fish. I don't know. What is it about fish that do you
I don't know how. I mean, maybe again, I may have saw something. I don't know that perked my imagination, but the series of fish was kind of had this tongue of in cheek name called the fish we eat, and they almost all were fish that were used for sushi
oh, I
because
see.
I love sushi and I don't.
There are more fish, but I don't know if I put more in the slideshow.
It's a good,
So um so the brown pelican. This is not square, right? This is
yeah, there's a little bit of
vertical
vertical.
because I guess the brown pelican really demands that.
Yeah.
And we want our brown pelicans to be happy with us. We just saw some yesterday from the Golden Gate Bridge, actually, when we were driving across that. Gail says, I can't see objects the way you do. Your paintings allow me to see objects through your lens. Such a cool ride. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. That's the idea. Thank you.
And then Marcia says, it's how you fill in the animal and flora shapes with your color choices in your proportions.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I think I said before that the animal is just like a vessel for me to put a bunch of really great colors that go together. And of course it's representative of the say the pelican here, but you know, if you took all those colors and put them aside on a palette, they would all go together and look cool also. But most people need a little more. So I don't want to say most people. I need something more to look at than abstract. Now, I like abstract paintings. I totally do, and I have them in my house. But I like the idea of, and it kind of is an abstract in a way, just has a little bit of a form around it.
You're abstracting of, something we can recognize, but there's an abstraction to it. You and I had this conversation when we met in your studio that we just get drawn to different kinds of paintings. And I personally I'm not a big abstract fan. I like representational, and you see things and you don't even know why you are drawn to them.
Yeah,
And that is how I felt when I came into your studio, Matthew, for the first time and met you.
thanks.
So here we have blue hair. And by the way, pretty much these are all Bay Area, not just, so much of, the David obviously is not Bay Area, but so much of what you do is reminding us of our environment right here.
I mean, I am Northern California. I always say that I am Northern California. I mean, I'm just like I've been here my whole life, and I generally use landscapes from Northern California and images and icons and birds but I mean, there's some others. I have paintings of like the torch of the Statue of Liberty, a bunch of others too.
Purple finch, that's native to here, right?
Yeah,
I think I said my wife would know.
I think the red finch is a little more native, and the purple is, I think, semi. I had some clients who I rarely do paintings that people think they want. But this really sweet couple came to me and said, "Oh, we have this pet name. We call ourselves the Finches." I said, "Okay, well, that's a little too cute. I said it can't be cute. I can't do that. And like it needed. So I came up with this and said, hey, they wanted two, and I said, how about we do this one finch that's really regal, and I don't do paintings that are all that cute, so.
Well, there's not a lot of emotion in these paintings, you know. I mean, you go and you can look at them and say, I love that how that bird looks. And that's true for Tebow too, right? His almost have that sense from pop art that
You get what you see.
yeah,
Yeah.
great hummingbird.
Yeah.
And that has a really nice crop on it. That again, that's my thing is to just sort of like we didn't need to see the whole hummingbird, so it has a nice crop. Now the finch was the whole finch, so that was different.
Go back to the finch. Yeah, that's it. And that's is that your choice or is that the photograph?
No, I think I just well, I think the bottom of the tail's probably cut off just a little.
Oh, we have to,
I think
let's see.
that's
Yeah.
a little, just a little
tiny bit. To move our little zoom thing.
Yeah, I mean that's not very much, but
Yeah. Your composition, the way you crop things is really interesting to me.
oh, thank
It,
you.
it- yeah, I mean, I don't think it's easy to make that choice and keep the painting interesting. Like you don't feel lopsided, but nothing is dead center. It's weighted differently from one. I really love that. I have
Well,
one of your
thank you.
paintings, by the way, so I'm really
Oh,
partial to your work.
Oh, what do you have?
I have one of the landscapes, one of the earlier landscapes of
Oh, wow.
I'm not from California, just so to see that those rolling hills with a California oak
Oh,
fills my heart every time I walk into my living room. It's just like, oh, I get to live here. And I thank you.
wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's
That's
so
very,
sweet.
very, very nice.
Anne, how did you come across Matthew?
I know you used to work with Mike in the Arc studio.
Yeah.
Arc. Yeah. So I was there on the Folsom Street and
Mhm.
just fell in love with it.
Oh, that's great. That's really
Yeah.
good.
Oh, and we have this in from our bird expert. The purple finch is resident and breeds here.
Oh,
Good to know.
good.
So here are some of these landscapes.
The thing is, the finch is a really cute bird, and it's almost impossible to find a picture of it that's not cute. That is regal. And so I think I probably initially wanted a red finch, but I ended up with this purple finch because it was the only really regal shot I could find. And again, obviously, I didn't take that picture.
Yeah, but these lines in here, the way you shape the colors is also really fascinating. So that's part of what you do is you deconstruct, like what's the structure, I guess. So yeah, these are the landscapes. These are these earlier paintings. So here's like a real nice wine country one.
Yeah.
Is it Sonoma?
Hmm.
Guess it could be anywhere.
They look like clusters of grapes.
It does kind of look like clusters of grapes. That's kind of coincidental, I guess. Cypress Marsh, so a nice bay. This would be on. This is more on the ocean, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what do you call it? Like Tamales, probably
Yeah.
that area.
And then I have to think these color choices are real interesting, and it makes me think more of like Matisse, you know?
Hmm.
But at this point, the landscapes were all extremely yellow. Like just I called them my I started them so long ago, I called them my Pottery Barn colors because everyone loved Pottery Barn colors. And I'm a pretty commercial artist, so I need to paint what I know people want to buy. And in those days, Pottery Barn colors were the bomb. So you see my earlier landscapes are much more yellow and a lot of ochres and rusts. And but then as we came into, the 2000s, everybody had a gray and white living room. Like it was, you had 10 shades of gray and 10 shades of white, and that was it. And my heavy duty yellow ochre Pottery Barn colors did not go. And this is how I make my living. So I changed a little bit. So you can see here, this is a much cooler landscape. Although there's tons of really bright colors, including the yellows, etc. It's just a lot cooler, and I think it worked better for people.
And this is something you did these landscapes a while ago, but this is a more recent one.
This one's
So it's like
2022.
combining your old subject matter with your new approach.
And you see things are more broken. As I progressed, the landscapes got broken down more and more also.
I don't know if I have any, I don't have any earlier ones. So let's look at these insect ones. These, I think the butterflies are amazing.
Thanks.
And where did you find the butterfly images that you worked from?
Well, it reminds me all this, I forget things, but they're all pinned butterflies, so they're taxidermy, and that leads on to the fish, and almost all of the animals and fish are taxidermy. And I forget that one of my things about the fish was like, what you don't need to taxidermy a fish. How about if you just have this great painting of the fish, even though it's a painting of a taxidermy, it kind of all, gets twisted around. But I did a full-size marlin. It was about 80 inches long. I mean, marlins are bigger than that, but it was kind of that idea, like, how about you put this painting above your fireplace instead of like stuffing a marlin, which is gross.
That's a nice thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, that like we kind of need our butterflies. We don't really need them
Yeah.
pinned. What a beautiful, the Atlas moth.
Yeah. That's an African moth. It's Alice moss, but it's actually from Africa.
And Nikki says, as a Pisces, I agree. She doesn't like the taxidermy of fish.
Okay.
Thanks,
Well,
Nikki.
a taxidermied fish is a painting because they only really kind of, I believe, keep the fins and a few other items, and much of it is a painting, really.
And then we've got these beetles and weevils.
The beetles are some of the smallest
Beautiful.
I've ever painted. They 30 by 24 is really small for me, but I kind of needed smaller paintings for people to afford. So
Yeah.
and they've been done really well because they're smaller, they're less expensive, and people kind of like them. Some people like them, some people, bugs are not their
If
thing.
you're a Beatles fan, you might want one, right? Oh yeah, and then we want to show some of these images in people's homes.
Yeah.
So I think this might have been in that video.
That's smashing.
Yeah.
The bridge one?
Yes.
Oh, thanks.
And I think is this in a gallery?
No, it's in a home.
Someone's home. Look at that.
This was in this year, last year's design showroom house design. They do a show house in Pacific Heights every year. These huge homes, and single designers each take a room, and they spend, tons and tons of money on their room, and then tickets are sold. I think it's a benefit.
Huh.
So this was the penthouse on top of the building that this designer asked if he could borrow a painting.
So Nikki asks, have you ever done a ladybug?
No, I have I have a bug I call a firebug. It's a red bug and it has spots, but I don't believe it's a ladybug. I just call it I used to call it red bug, and then sometimes I call it firebug.
Gail says that is huge to get your painting in this SF Showcase house. So nicely done.
I have a few times, maybe 3 or 4 times over the years.
Great heron. We love our herons.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I'm going to go back. Paco has joined us, which is always wonderful. Paco's like our most loyal member. And Paco, I don't know, I thought you might really like that painting. see what you think, Paco. Marcia has a question. How did you feel about the fabric next to your painting?
Oh, this show. Oh, like, sorry, Siri.
Siri
Just wanted to.
Siri has questions.
So the room was really wild and really cool, and I actually really loved it. He said to me, some people, it was a little over the top for some people, like other designers. And he said to me, you know what? I did this room for myself. He said, I
Mm.
probably never get to do anything this wild for a client ever, but I did it for myself. And so I appreciated that.
Charming. I thought it was a reference to some of the work I'd seen, inside your insects and inside your.
Huh.
But so I think so that was a great observation about the fabric in the way the fabric in the paintings are kind of in conversation.
Um,
That's just coincidence, or
um,
somebody thought that would be a good
well,
combo, right?
I think that he picked out the painting and then they kind of worked on what else to put in
I
there.
see. Wow.
Um,
When is the San Francisco showcase?
I think it was in the spring.
Yeah, it's usually in May.
And that's
Yeah.
something it's never been on
Yeah.
my radar. Is that something I should be paying attention to?
If you like really wealthy, Pacific Heights mansions, and if
I
that's
like
your
that. I
crowd,
like, I like, the
great
art
design.
aspect
Yeah,
of it. But yeah,
great design.
Yeah.
I mean, I did enjoy the show Succession, but that for different reasons than that.
But maybe you could
That's
do a show out of some of what is chosen
that's
Yeah.
for these
true.
fabulous
That
rooms.
would be interesting.
Well, that's my secret is I'm always looking for content, and that's why I went to Open Studios and started thinking, oh, these artists I enjoy talking to would be wonderful to invite on the show. So let me ask you about that, Matthew. What is it like for you to be in your studio during Open Studios and like random people come in? What kind of experiences do you have with that?
Well, I think if I had to use one word, I would say grueling. It just I like it, and I've done it so many times. I'm pretty good. I know my answers, and sometimes it gets me to come up with new answers. But it's just one person after another. And I don't want to say it's bad. Just they are asking similar questions, and it's a really good thing for me.
I mean, you have experience being on that end of it, right? But I'm on the other end. I'm the one who goes to the open studios, and I don't want to be someone who's I don't want my encounter with an artist to be grueling.
Oh,
So
I wouldn't.
well, I walked in and I just had the best conversation with you, Matthew, and that's kind of what led to this,
Well, you came in and had nice questions, and yeah.
But if I didn't like your art, I
Yeah.
usually because you were telling me like people poke their head into the studio and then they kind of like do an abrupt about face and leave, some of them, right?
And those are the ones I really want to hear from, are the ones that peek their head in and they're like, yeah, this is for me. And
That's
I'm
great.
like, I want to hear what you think. I
May
mean,
I, may I ask, what's the disposition of the cactus painting, which got so many eyes?
disposition. I think I'm not.
Like,
Meaning, did it end up in someone's home? Is it
Yeah, actually, somebody did buy the painting from that event.
That's
cool?
great.
But
Cool.
it's in that building that leans downtown.
oh yeah, the Millennium Tower.
So we hope it doesn't fall over.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
funny.
yeah, I do tours of the Salesforce Park, and we love talking about that. I'm sure your painting's doing fine. So let's see. I do want to remind people, Matthew, you do open studios in the fall, but you won't be doing it in the spring.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope people should get this on their radar. And oh, my question, are there public places that have your paintings? Are they in any buildings that we can go to?
There's the group, it's called Intuit, and they do QuickBooks,
Oh yeah.
and they do TurboTax and a few other things. And they bought a piece recently for their new headquarters downtown. And Google built a new massive headquarters down the peninsula. I don't think that many people know. It's so huge, and they bought three landscapes for their lobby. That was like two years ago or so.
Are they landscapes of like the bay, or is it more?
No, they picked three. The designer picked three landscapes that I had done.
Over there in the corner.
Oh, someone needs to mute, I think. Unless you have a question. Are you asking a question? Well, Matthew, I just want to thank you for coming on Art Viewing Adventures, and just had so much fun talking to you about your art.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And lots of great questions out there. And I especially liked hearing from Anne, who has one of your pieces. That's cool to know that we both are drawn to your work.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'll be back in 2 weeks, and we'll be talking about the Manet and Morisot exhibition at the De Young, which is a great exhibition, I think.
Hello, Rodney.
And there's Paco. Did you
I'm
see
on the
the doggy
bus
diner?
now.
Let me get the doggy diner for you.
Yeah, my cousin's dog.
Yeah. Great. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm going to sign off here live from 1890 Bryant with Matthew. But great having you guys all on today.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thanks
Thank you
a
very
lot.
much.
Hey, Nikki.
Hi, Paco.
Thanks
Bye,
to
Matthew.
Nikki
Thank
for
you.
moderating. I'm
Okay,
sorry,
of
thanks to
course.
Nikki